knows best.
Hi, friends, and welcome back to Brenna Knows Best. I'm your host, Brenna Berg. Hi, how are you guys? Happy Friday. Hi, friends. Happy Friday. Welcome. Holy shit. Last week. Okay, let's start from the top. Natalie's birthday, because Friday, I didn't do a damn thing. I went to the mall to try and find an outfit for this coming week's event. I told you guys last week I have this Amazon like Valentine's Day cocktail attire. I haven't found anything. I haven't ordered anything. I'm honestly just going to probably find something in my closet and call it good, because deep down, I don't care that much about outfits. So it's not something that really bothers me. If I could find the perfect cute outfit, I would love that. And I do love a good outfit when I'm excited about it, but I have to love something, especially to buy something. Like, I have to love that with all of my heart. And I also have to want to wear it again. You guys, oh, this is not going to be good for potential brand deals. However, Nuuly, Rent a Runway, like all of these clothes rental services, I get it. And if you guys ever see me do an ad with them, just know that I'm vibing with it in the moment. No, I'm kidding. I do get it, but like deep down in my core, I can't get behind it. Like for specific things potentially, but like renting clothes, like you really can't just buy an article of clothing and wear it again. Like nothing is that serious that you need to rent something, in my opinion. I wish Rent a Runway, that makes sense to me, kind of. Oh, actually, last week I was telling you guys about the wedding that I went to in San Diego before I knew Carter with that man. And back in the day, my friend Cara at the time told me to use Rent a Runway because it was a black tie. And so I needed like a legit gown pretty much. And I couldn't justify buying one because like a nice one is like $200-$300 for something I'm never going to wear again. And she recommended Rent the Runway, but then it was also like $80 to rent a dress. And I'm like, oh, like that to me, you're also just throwing away $80. Like at the very least, potentially I buy a dress and I keep it and can wear it again, or I can sell it on Poshmark. Like I just have a hard time. It's similar, honestly, to leasing cars. Like I know it's the new wave, but it just doesn't feel right in my bones. And I just have a hard time wrapping my head around it. Like you're renting outfits, like clothes, like you literally don't have jeans and a top that you can wear. Like to me, it's just not that serious, but maybe for specific certain things, I guess I just don't have that much going on. So like nothing in my life needs that many outfits. So that's my thought. Like there have been times where I've posted on Instagram about needing an outfit and girls have been like, use Nuuly or use this. And I'm like, I don't know. That something about it just doesn't sit right with me. It just kind of seems crazy to spend money to rent an article of clothing. Like, hello, you guys know outfit repeater. I wear the same thing again and again. Like I don't give a shit, but finding those things that I love, like I've really in these past few years tried, because back when I was in college, the mall that we had, you guys, in Fargo, North Dakota had a JCPenney's, which don't get me wrong, JCPenney's can have some cute stuff. It had a Forever 21, which was like, in college, the best kind of outfits that you would find, like going out tops and trendy things, because you're not really wearing normal people clothes because you're in college. You know what I'm saying? Like for cute fashiony things, like you're just buying what's in. So I used to shop only at Forever 21 because that's all we had for like cute young people's clothes. Okay, there was JCPenney's. I'm trying to think. Of course, there was like American Eagle, I think, in the mall. But that to me was so expensive at the time in college. I wasn't going to be spending, it was like $40 for a top, which now I get it and I'm there and it's no problem. But in college, I could not justify that. So I wouldn't shop at like there or Hollister. And also during college, you kind of are growing out. Like I feel like in that era, those stores were kind of in between like high school and college, if that makes sense, but still the cost was crazy. And so I shopped at Forever 21 so long, all of college pretty much. That's the only place I would go. And then I discovered Lululemon at that time. And like I've told you before, you guys, I was making bank in college, but still like I'm very much who I am, and I didn't go out that often. I'm very much the same person I was then that I am now. So to buy clothes to go out in, I didn't want to spend more than $20 for a top. So Forever 21 made sense because I didn't do it that often and I just didn't care that much. Whereas my active wear, before I knew of Lululemon, do you guys remember when we wore the Victoria's Secret leggings that had like the fold over waist? Do you remember those? That was everything. And you would wear like a cami under your shirts and then you would wear a shirt, but that like foldable thing, like those were the only leggings I think I probably had up until I discovered Lululemon. And I don't even remember how. Through a YouTuber. I think it was Robin Gallant, who the Align leggings came out and she raved about them in a YouTube video. Because remember, this was like in 2015 was my peak eating disorder. So I was like really into health and fitness. So I watched all of these YouTubers. So I was seeing like their gym clothes reviews. So I discovered Lululemon then. We obviously did not have them in North Dakota at the time. I think there's one in Fargo now in the mall. But when I was there, we did not have a Lululemon. So I would order online, or when I would go to Minneapolis to see my brother, I would go into store. There actually was the Albertsville outlet. There was like an outlet store on the way into the cities, and I would stop there because it was all like a sales store, which was perfect. Because even though I was making money, I still, I've always just been a very money conscious person, so I could justify that. But I was always in my Lululemon, like active wear. I worked in it. I went to class in it. So that made sense. And I still have like all of the pieces today. If I don't, I sold them on Poshmark. But anyways, that's just like where I'm at with clothes. So Forever 21, my whole entire college career. Then I moved to Dallas and it's the same kind of thing. Like, especially then I was interning, so I wasn't making money. So I wasn't going to like, and truthfully, I did not know what Zara was, you guys, until I went to New York City. I met Noah, one of my friends. He worked at Equinox with me over the summertime and he had just gone back. He was going to Parsons in New York City. And he was like, you have to come up and visit. And so in the fall time of 2019, I went up to New York City. I'm like, yes, down, amazing. He lived with two girls, Priya and Lauren, and Noah had to work or he had class or something when I was there. So one of the days I hung out with the girls and I love them. They were incredible, but they took me to my first Zara. Like, I literally didn't know. I'm sure maybe when I lived in Dallas, I had passed one in a mall, but until you know what a place is and you feel like, let me go check this out, you don't know. Like, unless you're kind of with somebody who goes there, like I didn't even know what it was. So why the fuck would I walk into Zara at the mall? Like, I don't know what that is. I guess I could have looked around, but I'm not a shopper, so I never knew what it was. So it wasn't until I went to New York City. So this was like literally fall 2019 is when I discovered what Zara was. Hello, I'm sorry, what? And then I moved to Zara. And then at some point in 2020, I swore off Forever 21. I said, bitch, it's the worst quality. I get it's cheap, but you are too grown at this point, number one, to be wearing these clothes, but number two, to like be cheaping out. And especially now in the year of 2025, I really do want to just start buying more sustainable clothes and just like invest in good pieces that I love. But that's why I now especially never buy anything unless I'm obsessed with it, because I want to have it forever. I want it to be a staple piece. I kind of want to build like a wardrobe, a capsule wardrobe, when you just have like your same things that you like. So for me, that's wide leg jeans. Like, those Zara wide leg jeans are my perfect jeans. I have them in black, tan. I have a regular jean. I have jeans with rips, which now I feel like I'm phasing out of ripped jeans. I feel like at the age of 27, of course you can wear whatever the fuck you want, but yeah, I don't know. I might be getting rid of those soon. Those jeans I love and adore, and I need to find more jeans like that, better quality, which the Zara ones have been fine. I love the square neckline. So my Contour Aritzia bodysuits, those are always a staple for me. Obviously my Target tees, obviously those sweaters that I just discovered, which those aren't the best quality. I mean, they were $50. I wish I could find a similar version for more expensive, but that fit is just like, I've never seen it. And trust me, I've scoured the internet, but that's what I want to work on. I want to work on building just like a good wardrobe, because for example, Nanny Mom, you guys, well, here's the thing. They lived in Manhattan. Nanny Mom graduated from Northwestern and immediately moved to Manhattan, and they lived there until they moved to Dallas in 2020. Okay, so she moved 2001. She actually started working at Amex August 2001. She was there for 9/11, like 2 buildings over. She was in the financial district, which is the Twin Towers. Anyways, crazy story. But she was there from 2001 to 2020. And we talked about how in Dallas, people are all for show. Like, you show your wealth in Dallas. You drive a nice car. You live in Highland Park. You have a big bougie house. Like, that's how you show your wealth. She was talking about, which it makes perfect sense, in New York City, which New York City is just a fashion hub. It's a bunch of artsy fashion people. But like, you have an apartment. People don't walk up to your home and see your home. They don't see a car that you're driving. Like, you don't drive. So you show wealth, which that's not why everybody does it, but it's like the clothes that you wear. Like, that's the only thing people can gauge off of you, and she's not saying she's that way. She's the way she is about clothes is because she loves clothes and loves shoes and has the money to invest in those things and buy those things. So Nanny Mom has like an insane wardrobe, you guys. She has so many shoes, like Louis Vuittons, like whatever, but she worked in the corporate world. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. I'm just saying that I've gone through her closet with her, and she's like, oh, this I've had since I was 20. This I've had since like da-da-da. That's what I want to do. I don't want to be buying new clothes like again and again and again. Of course, over my lifetime, I will, because different trends and different things, but I also want to keep those pieces. Like, I so much, obviously back in the day when I was shopping at Forever 21, my clothes, like, what are we talking about? I would wear them 3 times. Number 1, they would be disintegrating. Number 2, they would be out of style. Like, what the fuck? So then you're donating them, or I would never throw clothes away. I always donate. That shit blows my mind. I remember somebody did that online. Like, they literally showed themselves throwing clothes away. And I get it. If something is like so badly worn, but honestly, and maybe this isn't the proper thing to do, but I would rather just give my clothes to a donation center for them to decide if it's wear worthy or not. Because like, why the fuck would I throw something away if somebody that needs it more than me, or like shops at thrift stores that actually, you know, like needs clothes and can't afford to shop at stores? Why the fuck would I throw that away? That's just my thoughts. Maybe that's not correct. But yeah, so that's where I'm at with clothes. And I only want to buy things from here on out that I know I'll use again, or at least can resell, which again, I don't know what that, I'm thinking specifically of that dress that I bought. So yeah, I ended up buying this maroon, and she was gorge, to the floor dress. But I did end up selling it, I think, on Poshmark, or maybe I ended up donating it just because like I couldn't sell it and I just wanted to get rid of it because there was no way I was going to wear it ever again. I don't think I still have it, but that was that. Anyway, so yeah, I went to the mall. I didn't love anything, so I didn't buy anything, which is a great quality to have. And then Friday night, I watched the Molly May documentary, and I know nothing about Molly May. And if you have literally no idea who that is, basically she was on Love Island, which is a show. I don't really know what goes on. I've never watched it. I think it's similar to not The Bachelor, but like a bunch of just like hot people come onto an island and like fall in love, or, you know, it's like a game show, but there's like love and sex. And like, that's what I've gathered. I don't know, because I haven't seen it, but she was on there and she met her, well, now baby daddy, her boyfriend, ex-fiance, Tommy Fury, who is a boxer. And I'm not sure if he was a boxer. Oh, that's right. He's the brother or the son of like a really famous boxer. Because I was talking to Carter about this, and he was like, who the fuck is Tommy Fury? He knew his brother or his dad, who was like mega a boxer or something in that space. But she met Tommy Fury on there. They ended up becoming a couple and staying together, which you know how these shows go. Like, they never end up staying together, but they did. And obviously they became influencers, and people just like, she was the UK like it girl, and she's like the most precious thing ever. I had seen her and like her aesthetic stuff, and I know back in the day she became the editor of like Pretty Little Thing or something. I've like loosely followed along just because she's gorgeous and like posts like cool things, and I knew nothing about her relationship or being on the show or whatever. Well, basically, obviously last year at some point, number one, they had a child together. They weren't engaged, which like, I don't give a fuck about that. But then he proposed after the child was born. So they were engaged. But then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she made a post like, we've broken up, yada, yada. And I just remember seeing other people's, this is how it is for me and every social media person. I like see people up in arms about these things. I'm like, oh, this is like a big deal to people. So this documentary comes out and people are dying to see it because they were filming her leading up, I think, to the wedding, or maybe leading up to the drop of her clothing line. She made a clothing brand called Maybe, Maebe. But this documentary just dropped, and obviously people wanted the tea about the relationship. And honestly, it shows you more so just her and like this developing of this business, which I find interesting. I love all things business, which I'm going to talk about today because I want to tell you guys about my recent Mr. Beast obsession, which is so random, but you guys, okay, we'll get there. However, Friday night, because Carter was gone last weekend, I watched the first 2 episodes, and then I finished, I think there was only 3 episodes. I finished the 3rd one at the gym, walking on the treadmill the next morning. But she's just precious and she's just honest, and I loved it. I just really like documentaries. I love seeing people in their natural habitat going through things. Like, that is just so fascinating to me. So that was really good. I'm going to jump from there to the Rachel Kirkconnell situation. Again, I've never watched The Bachelor, never watched The Bachelorette. I know of the people. I actually am kind of intertwined. There's a lot of them in Nashville, and my very best friend Garrett is associated with them via another one of our friends. So I remember going to one of our friends. Well, actually, it was a combined birthday. It was Garrett's birthday and then our other friend's birthday. But our other friend, Peter, he's just like very well connected. Like, Carrie Underwood's husband was there, Mike Fisher, and all of these Bachelor people, which, you know, once you have like a real life celebrity, I'm like, Bachelor, like influencers, I'm like, you're just not the same tier, but they think that they are. You guys, these girls were god awful. No offense. Some of these Bachelor or Bachelorette gals that I met in Nashville. But anyways, so I actually know some of them. I don't follow along with anybody, but basically this Rachel, if you don't know what's going on, which I'm sure that you do because shit is just blasted all over social media, this couple, one on The Bachelor, or the man, okay, his name is Matt. He picked her, but he did not propose, which The Bachelor, like, the thing is, you have to propose at the end, and they didn't, which was super unconventional. But then again, it's similar to the Molly May, Tommy Fury. People watch them on a show and you fall in love with these people because you get to know them. I guess I don't know why I don't watch these shows, because it seems right up my alley. Like, you guys know I love Love is Blind. It's just because I don't know why. Probably because I've never had a TV. Oh, that's exactly why. In my adult life, I've never had a TV. Whereas in these recent years, I've gotten Netflix, and Love is Blind is on Netflix. And yeah, those sorts of things. That's exactly why. But anyways, they go on to have a relationship, and there's a lot of like different controversies, which, like, to me, I don't know. I take all of those things with a grain of salt because I feel like all of it is amplified, just like being on social media and people just like being crazy. But basically, they were together for like 4 years, and similar thing, like out of nowhere, the guy, they were on a trip in Tokyo and had been posting about it. Like, this is December. This is like so recent, maybe early January. And all of a sudden he puts a post and is like, God help us through this breakup, da da da. And Rachel was not saying anything. And again, I don't follow these people, but I just saw people like, oh, like they've broken up. Have they not broken up? People speculating, and nobody was saying anything other than the man posted this thing after being together for 4 years. And like, people follow along because they like now are influencers, obviously. Well, Rachel went on to call her daddy, and I watched the episode yesterday morning at the gym, and honestly, it was low-key boring, and I was fast forwarding through it all. It was very relatable. Like, the parts that I did watch, she was just talking about her relationship and the power imbalance, and like, if you're going through a breakup, watch that episode. I think you'll really like it. But me not being in that place and me not really knowing these people, I kind of just wanted to hear about the post, because that was a speculation. Like, she never said anything. Like, it just kind of got put on blast. And basically, yeah, obviously go watch the episode. It was crazy. all long story short, she talks about their whole relationship. They're on this trip in Tokyo. Basically, they get in a fight, and then all of a sudden he's like, I can't see myself marrying you, which he's allowed to feel those things. I don't think his actions are good. And here's the thing. I made one quick little video and people are like, he is a red flag. And the fact that he diminished her feelings and yada yada, which like totally. But I think we forget that like we are just not our best selves when we're with the wrong person. And like, not to excuse his behavior, because she talked about like she'd be crying upset, but he would give her space. And like, yeah, when you're hearing the one side of it, but it's like some people don't know how to manage relationships. And like when you're not communicating, and maybe you are, but like you don't really know what's going on. And again, we've all been there. Like it's similar to past boyfriends. It's similar to my situationship that treated me like shit. Like I don't think he's a bad person. And he like on paper, if I were to tell you like, yeah, didn't treat me well, but like we just weren't meant to be. Like it was just the wrong person. And we were young and immature. And like this Matt and Rachel situation is just so relatable to any women that are in a long-term relationship and want marriage, but like you're too scared to bring it up. Like there was a point where she was talking about how she didn't want to bring up the engagement and stuff because she wanted it to be a surprise and like not know. And like there are some women, which I don't think this was her at all. Some like women I feel like have a complex about, I've seen TikTok videos and they're like, I think it's so crazy how girls go ring shopping with their man and like they know everything and they plan their outfit. Like who gives a fuck? Like if this is your forever person, I think you should be talking about it because this is what happens. You're 4 years down the road and you don't want to bring it up because you want to be a surprise. Well, look what happens. And I'm not saying it's not her fault, but like if you would have had more conversations, I feel like this could have came out earlier. You could have been like, what the fuck am I waiting for? And she says that like, again, totally. But it just is, it sucks. But she's young. She's like 28. Again, at whatever age, like being with the wrong person is just being with the wrong person. Whatever age that is, get the fuck out of there. But yeah, I watched that yesterday and I just thought it'd be relatable if you're going through a breakup. If you don't really give a shit, don't watch it. It was like low-key kind of boring. But let's get back to last week, you guys. Okay, so Friday, watch the Molly May. I wake up. Saturday is my friend's birthday. So I told you she had asked me to get her Dutch Bros because I initiated. Oh my God, this bitch wasn't like, get me Dutch Bros, it's my birthday. I asked her and she said Dutch Bros and I had never been, which Carter goes, yeah, we've gone together. Wrong fucking girlfriend. Don't ever disrespect me like that ever again. And then he goes, oh, well, it must have been with my friends. And he's like, babe, no, like it was with his best friend that lives here in Dallas, because there is one right by the apartment that he used to live in before. Well, the apartment that I saw right before we moved into this apartment. So it makes sense why he would go there. And it's the same one I went to, but I drove there and got the coffees. I was like, I've never been here. I ordered pre-pickup. A lot of you asked, how was the Dutch Bros? Here's the problem. You guys know I like plain coffee. I like black coffee or an Americano or something. I don't really like sugary coffees. Well, don't get me wrong. I love it, but it's just like so bad to be drinking all of that sugar, in my opinion. Like I try not to. So I just got a plain ass coffee. So all plain ass coffee kind of tastes the same. I'm not one of those people that like Starbucks or like Dutch or whatever the thing is, because I get black coffee. So it was good. It was fine. I got Natalie. She gets the Golden Eagle, whatever that is. It was, she let me have a little taste. Delicious. Again, so much sugar, which I'm not shaming anybody. I just can't live that life because once I start, I'll never stop. Speaking of, I posted my story about these little Snap Harvest green beans. You guys, they're like, oh, those, what are those called? The fries that are like airy. They're not real fries. They're like different colors. It's like a bag of chips, but it's like the thin, what is that called? It's the same thing, but it's like green beans are supposed to be. They're super light. They're salty. Oh my gosh, I got this huge bag at Costco. I could not stop. And I'm never buying them again because that's the problem. I have no chill. And like those Chobani creamers for coffee, I was buying those like a couple months ago. I had to stop because you just get carried away. So that's the thing. I can't start or I'll never stop. But anyways, I pick up the coffees. I text her. This bitch is always late. She's like, do you want to come up? Like, I'm not ready yet. I said, of course. So I come up to her apartment. Her boyfriend's up. I say hello. I wait for her to get ready. She is now 29 years old. We then go and get our nails done first, which I got yelled at by the nail tech, and honestly, it just felt a little bit embarrassing, or a lot of bit embarrassing. So we go to this place right by her apartment, and we go in, and here's the other problem that I have, which I probably was in the wrong. Okay, I'm not, no, I am gonna bitch because like it's my life and I'm allowed to. Basically, we get there and we both do dip. We sit down next to each other. I pick out a color and the guy walks over. So I have a guy, Natalie has a girl. He comes over, he's like out of the dipping powder, but they already took the books away. So I'm like, do you just have something similar? Like, I'm the most easy fucking going customer ever about anything. Food, nails, and like, that's not a flex. I wish I spoke up more. Well, that's not true because I just like don't really care about anything ever. So I'm like, whatever, just find another light pink. Totally fine. And he's like, okay. And he finds one, which is fine. Again, whatever. He's doing my nails and he's like, do you want them short? I'm like, yes. Can we do them a lot shorter? And he's like, what shape? And I'm like, we can just keep the shape or just like a natural nail shape. Like, whatever. I'm not picky. I just want them a lot shorter. And he's like, so round? And I'm like, yes, perfect. Okay. Well, I'm sitting there and obviously me and Natalie are barking away, talking about this, that, and the other, mainly weddings and stuff and all of the things, relationship things, and just what the fuck is going on in our lives. Oh, work drama for her, obviously not for me. And I'm telling a story or something. And he's like, can you stop moving your hands? And I didn't feel like I was. Somebody commented back on my story and was like, you hand talkers don't know how much you fidget. And I'm like, yeah, I suppose. Well, I keep talking because obviously whatever. Well, he looks at me. He like pulls my hand. And he's like, can you stop talking? Like your hands are moving too much. And he was like doing I don't know if he was doing my cuticles or whatever, but I'm like mid-story. Natalie won't look at me because like he was like it was like not kind. And I've been so kind about everything up until that point, and I was after. But when I tell you, when he told me to shut the fuck up, I'm sitting there. So I'm like trying to look at Natalie, but she won't look at me because I know she's going to burst out laughing. And her girl, Natalie, literally at one point, like kind of had a knee-jerk reaction. Not to like, she wasn't speaking or anything, but her hand kind of flailed. And she's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like I flailed. And the girl was like, no problem. Like, you're okay. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with my guy? Like, I don't even think that I'm moving and he's not okay with me speaking. Anyway, so it was fine. And you guys, low key, like the tips of my fingers, like the top part, not straight, not even. I'm like, you didn't even do a good job. Maybe he was new. Maybe that's what was going on. But like the girl across from Natalie, the girl doing Natalie's hand, like I looked at her and she kind of like gave me the smile and I'm like, but he gave me permission to speak again, so I was able to finish my story and we left. And of course, as we're walking out, he like hid. He had like the other girl go and do, so they finish your service and then they put like the cuticle oil on top, right? He left. He's like, she'll do it, thanks. And he goes. I'm like, oh my God, do you just hate me? Like, you guys, I'm so kind. Like and I really do apologize if I was like really moving my hands, but I just like don't think that I was. I don't know. He must have been having a bad day. But then we were leaving and like two girls are like, see you again. I said, I am not coming back here. And me and Natalie left and I was like, Natalie, was I like being insane? And she's like, no, I don't know what was going on. Well, she came up with the hypothesis that he was new. And I was like, okay, thank you. Because I'm not like a rude person and I would never, and like, again, even if like I'm thinking if I were in his scenario, there was just like a kinder way. Like he like scolded me and I was like, oh my gosh, sorry. Like it was just so uncomfortable. And then you have to sit there for the rest of the time. And then like he allowed me to speak, but I'm like trying also again not to because I don't want to move. It was just awkward. But then we go to Hot Works and a few of you asked me about Hot Works and like what it's like, and I'll break it down for you because I really think it could be a good thing. If you're considering like getting a gym membership or doing ClassPass, I really enjoy it. I'll tell you the pros and cons. The pros of Hot Works, I think the cost, I'm pretty sure Natalie told me it's like $70 a month, which in the social media or what bitch, in the workout space, like fitness, that is not expensive at all. You guys, core power, $189 a month. Solid core, $200 a month. Legree, $200 a month. I don't know what class pass is, and if you like to bounce around, class pass I know is your best option. I only kind of know of it because when I opened up that Pilates studio, we didn't want to do it for really long because the studios that use class pass, like, you lose money using it as a studio in a business aspect because it is so cheap for users. You would much prefer acquiring and charging obviously $20 per class or whatever the thing is. Equinox, $200, which a gym membership like our gym is $50 a month, but that, you guys, is just weights and cardio. Obviously it's a commercial gym, whereas like a studio classes, those are like at the $200 mark. So $70 is good. Two, it's 24 hours. Like, you just have a code. I believe this is how they all operate. I've only been to the ones with Natalie, 2 different studios. So you type in a code during the day. I think they have an employee there, and this differs from studio at what hours, but like, you could go in at 11 p.m. and you walk in. Oh, let me explain it to you guys. So you have this little code and it allows you to go in. We went during the day, so there was somebody working, but then there are just these tiny little sauna box is okay, hot works because they are like 120 degrees. I think you can fudge with them, but maybe they have a standard that they're all at. Again, I've only ever been a guest of Natalie, so I don't know specifically, but the one we went to, there were like probably 8 of these rooms. You can have up to 3 people, or like 3 people can fit in there. So like Natalie, and I don't think it's extra to have a guest because she takes her boyfriend and he doesn't have a membership. Like, she just takes him. So I think also if you're paying $70 a month and you have a partner, you're technically paying $35 because I don't think there's a limit on like guest passes. Every time she's taking me, it's not extra money. Like, I'm just able to go with her. So there was one time when another girl was in the little box with us, but every other time it's only been us. And you can kind of look on the app, I think, and see, obviously up until the class starts, somebody could book it, but you book a class and they have like bar, they have yoga, they have, I'm sure, abs, they have, because it's a tiny little room and you're on a yoga mat. So it's like gotta be in place. However, it's just a class. They have a TV in the room, so you follow along with this person. It's 120 degrees Fahrenheit in there, so it's hot as fuck. You get a good sweat. Like, is it the best workout? No, in my opinion, because it's going to be just like isometric stuff. I'm not sure if maybe they have like lighter weights there for certain classes. Again, I have only gone to a couple with Natalie and she's always chosen the classes. This one was a bar class, so it was a lot of like plies and, you know, calf raises and things, which was really great. And you're sweating a fuck ton, which, let me just say, sweating does not equate to a good workout. Everybody sweats at a different rate. So like, just news flash to everybody out there, just because you sweat a lot doesn't gauge how good the workout was. Just FYI, sorry, as my fitness brain comes into account, because you guys, I'm a sweaty bitch. It feels good to sweat, don't get me wrong, like it feels so good, and that could be your placebo, but if you're gauging a workout, if it's good or not on how much you sweat, that doesn't matter. Like, being in a hot room obviously is just going to make you sweat more. That doesn't mean the workout was better. Okay, I just wanted to give a little disclaimer. But anyways, we did a bar class. I'm trying to think what we've done before. Yeah, like lunges, or we've done a yoga before. And so every single hour, I think on the hour, they have a class. So like ours was at, or maybe every half hour. I'm sure the rooms alternate. I think the workout itself is like 30 to 35 minutes. Maybe, again, there are different lengths. I don't know, because I don't technically have it myself, but there's always like a warm up, you know, stretch, and then a cool down, and then you're done. You take your mat and you go, and that's it. So they have classes all day long at different times. 11 p.m. Again, you could go. There's not going to be a worker there, but you put in your little code and you go into your little hot sauna box, and that's it. So like, if that seems up your alley, this is perfect for the person who isn't a big workouter, but you want to do something. Like, I've recently thought about doing it because I need to get back into just like doing other things than walking. I just have such a hard time lifting. Like, I need something to inch me into it. I feel like it's a good starter. I don't know. I would look at it yourself. The cons, I mean, there are no really cons. It's just like the limited, depending on what kind of workouts you want to do. Like, it's not heavy lifting. But other than that, I think it's great. I think it's wonderful. So we did that class, and then we drove back to the apartment, and I came back home. I hung out with Maydog, really just chillaxed the rest of the day. And then I went back for game night. And so I get there, and Natalie and Ryan did everything. They made like nachos, they made meatballs, they had a charcuterie board. I'm like, oh my God, Natalie, it's your birthday. Like, why didn't you tell us to bring stuff? But there was one couple of their friends that I hadn't seen in a really long time that was there. They're actually getting married soon, so I was catching up with them. There was another couple that I hadn't seen in a long time. These are friends of Natalie and Ryan's. And then this other group of 3 came. It was a couple, and then one of Natalie's friends, Ben, who I've met one time. And I just have a funny story to tell you. I don't know him super well, but basically we all hung out. We played this game, you guys, and it was so much fun. It was hysterical. I wish I remembered what it was called, but basically it was a little box, and it just had cards. And then there were these little notebooks, but they were like these little spirally things where you can write on them with like a whiteboard marker, and so you could wipe it away, so you like reuse them. So basically there were 8 of these things, so 2 people had to couple up, but you pass out all 8 of these little spiral notes. So you put your name on the front, and then everybody grabs a card, or this is how we played, and on the card it has 5 things on one side and 5 things on the other, and we just picked a random one, whatever one you wanted to do, and they were all sexual or like inappropriate, maybe some not as bad as others. I think I saw one once where it was like pick an actress, or it was like blowjob, or it was threesome, or it was like whatever, like raunchy things. And so you would pick one, and you wrote on the first page of the spiral what the word was, and you'd flip it over and you had to draw it. So you would draw, let's say, I'm trying to think. Oh, my first one, I went easy. It was tongue piercing. So I put tongue piercing on the very first thing. I spiraled the thing, opened up the next sheet, and I would draw tongue piercing. You had to draw it. Then everybody did this, and then you would pass your notebook to the next person. They would look at your photo, and then they, on the next page, would write in words what they thought it was. Okay, so then if they could tell from my picture, they would put tongue piercing. Then you would pass it to the next person. So it's basically like phone tag, like back in the day when you were kids, somebody would like whisper in somebody's ear a sentence or a word or a phrase, and then that person would go on to the next person and say it and say it and say it and say it. And by the time it got to the last person, like it would not be what you said. Okay, if you've ever played that, that's essentially what it was. So the next person would read the words and then draw a picture, and then you'd pass it along, and then the next person would look at the picture. So obviously all of these things, like there was, oh my gosh, I'm trying to think, like, oh, it would be like, there was one that was quickie, and I don't remember if that was what it was, but then obviously somebody's trying to draw this, but then like it gets skewed and it's like, oh, porn star. Like you could never tell because none of us are like professional artists. And so at the end, it would go all the way around and everybody would go through. So they would show their photo, and then you would go to the next page and see what the person guessed. And then like you would show, and it was just the most hysterical thing. Like there was the one that we interpreted as quickie. I don't think, like, some of them would go so far off of what it was, and then some of them were perfect. Like I think the tongue piercing one was perfect because that one was so easy, or it might have gotten turned into something, I don't remember. But there was one where it got interpreted as quickie somewhere along the way, and somebody on their drawing put, like, it was somebody, like 2 people having sex, there was a wall, and then there was like a grandma on the other side, and then they wrote 4 p.m. and then they had an arrow, and then 4:10 p.m. and they had like a shh in the photo, and they thought the previous one, or the words were afternoon quickie, so that's why they wrote 4 and 4:10. But as we were going over it at the end, one of the guys was like, wait, 10 minutes? Like that's what you guys consider a quickie? It was just so funny. Like obviously they went so raunchy, and like the photos were so bad, and it was just hilarious. So that game was so fun. And then after that we did a few rounds of categories. And you guys, I brought Maydog. So I brought Maydog with, I asked them, I was like, you guys, I can leave her at home, but like, she's so easy. And she sat with this guy who honestly, I didn't even hear say a word. She was the boyfriend of this girl who I also didn't know. Obviously, we were playing these games together and there were like exchanges, but there wasn't like a formal introduction. But this man like literally never spoke, but May sat on his lap the entire time. And so we got done playing games and I was getting up. We were all kind of like walking around, sitting, whatever. And I'm walking towards the kitchen to get another snack. And Ben, the guy, he was like moving in the chair because obviously they didn't have enough chairs. They have like an L-shaped couch and then they brought like a desk chair and whatever. So he was in this rolly chair and I come around him and I just catch the tail end of what he's saying. And he said, that dog. And obviously he was talking about May because that's the only dog that was there. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he looks at me, he goes, oh, he's like, I was just telling whatever that guy's name was. I was telling him that he should steal that dog. He was talking about me. And I like walked up on him as it was so funny. I'm like, oh my God. I was like, take her. She's all yours. But that was actually so fun. And then I got home. Me and May drove back. And Sunday rolls around. Carter calls me in the morning. And we start talking about our elopement and children. And if you saw my TikTok video, I'm dead because his parents, like, they love to just like know what's going on. And, you know, of course they're interested in what we're planning for our elopement. And of course they're thinking about grandchildren, but it then got the balls rolling kind of on our elopement, which now it's stagnant again. We really just need to lock down, number one, dates, and that's really hard with Carter's work. I suggested that we do it like on Memorial Day or Labor Day because we have a built-in holiday. Then he could only take like Thursday and Friday, which as an attorney you can't really take days off, like that's just not how it works. But I was like, then we would have a built-in Monday, that way you would only have to take, because he was thinking about taking a whole week, but then he says it, but then he gets really stressed because he's like, I don't know how I'm going to take like Monday through Friday. I'm like, well, you don't have to do that. Like, why don't we just do a long weekend? Like, realistically, it's fine. Like, I'm not worried about it. Honestly, even if we only had 3 days, like we'll make it special regardless. I think it's great and fresh that he wants to like make it a long thing, but if that's just not feasible, then it's not feasible. So I think we've landed on Costa Rica, like I've told you, and I think it'd be so fun. Like there's so much zip lining and, you know, hikes, and that just seems up our alley. Like some people were talking about Cancun and Mexico, which Carter's just anti-Mexico. He just thinks it's really dangerous, which it is really dangerous with the cartels, and like, I don't know, it kind of freaks me out as well. But we're honestly not just like relaxing like on the beach people. Like I want to do stuff. That's why Europe would have been amazing to like go to museums and just like explore the history. But traveling to Europe is such a bitch, and we just certainly won't have that time. We also still are unsure if we're going to even make that wedding that we have in September. I also said, like, why don't we build something into that trip? But he just doesn't know if we'll be able to do that in the first place. So it's just really hard. So we need to sit down and figure out dates. But then he was like, yeah, my parents were asking about children. And, you know, they asked how many we were thinking. And I told them 3, maybe 2. This is Carter speaking because he's a big advocate for 3. And I don't think you can speak on how many children you're going to have until you even have one. Like, God only knows. What if we just don't vibe with it, which obviously will be fine. And I think we will, like, just knowing our personalities and that we want them. But also, like, you don't know really how you handle that mentally and the responsibility until you have one. So this won't be decided until like you'll change your mind. For example, my cousin Lauren, they always wanted 4. And they ended up on 3 just because it's a lot. And obviously the economy, it's just so different. Carter's dad, which is so funny, they want us to have 6. Like they always talk about how they wish they would have had more. They have 3. Carter has 2 siblings. And his dad was like, have 6. And Carter brought up the point. He's like, number 1, that's just fucking crazy. But also they're coming from Mormon brains. They're coming from religion. They're coming from just like family and love, which is so funny because like their 3 children don't even all get along. But I think, that's one of us. Never mind. But just because you have, I don't know, I guess I don't see the appeal to having 6 children. I don't see the appeal to having 3. Sometimes I don't even see the appeal of having any. Okay, that's not true. But Carter brought up the money conversation. His dad was like, don't even think about the money, just have kids. And like, it's funny because if you guys have ever seen any clips of Tucker Carlson is like, have so many kids even when you don't have the funds, because then you'll figure it out. And I do believe that, in the sense, like, I talk about elevating your lifestyle and living in the nice apartment. I think when you have these things in your life that make you elevate and make you strive for more, like, yeah, if you have that many kids and you're somewhat driven, you got to figure it out. And like, obviously we'll be fine, and we are those people, but it's also like, holy fuck, it's a lot of money. But it's funny because every time I talk to Carter's dad, we talk about how expensive shit is these days. Like, the last time I saw him, the first thing we talked about, he was like, Brenna, I went to Home Depot and I bought 3 things that 20 years ago would have been $10 and it was $50. And I'm like, no shit. But it's funny then, of course, when it comes to kids, because they want grandkids. Like, they don't pressure us in any way. Like, I don't feel pressured by them at all. Probably just because I don't feel pressure. I'm like, this is my decision. It's my body. It's my life. But like, they are like dying to have grandchildren. And yeah, so then me and Carter started talking about it, and then Carter made the craziest statement of all time, because I was like, babe, realistically, like, if we actually want 3, I was thinking that, we would get pregnant at 30, which also in my head, 30 to me is like 10 years away. Like, in my, I feel like my whole life, even though I didn't know I was having kids or wanted kids, like, I've always been like, yeah, in 10 years, and I still feel that now. Bitch, you'll be 37 in 10 years. Like, this shit is coming up before you know it. That's so scary. But then Carter goes, well, babe, because I said, like, if we start at 30, like, I personally just, having children after 35 just kind of scares me, even though with technology and things today, it's so much safer and it's fine. But like, I also just don't want to have that big of a disconnect. Like, I want to, ideally, if in a perfect world, I would have been ready at 20 years old, I would have had children, to be a younger parent. Like, I don't know who wouldn't want, because then you just get more time with your children in your lifetime. So like, having kids in your late 30s, which actually Carter's mom had Carter's brother, I think at like 36 or 37, because he's 21, she was born in 66, she's gonna be 59. Oh yeah, so she had him at like 37 or 38, perfectly healthy, perfectly fine. But I just personally, like, that's not my ideal if I can plan it. So I'm like, babe, if we realistically want 3 kids, but we start at 30, like, that's going to be banging out kids. And like, moms talk about 2 under 2 and how exhausting that is. And even my cousin Lauren, like, her first 2, the boys, were kind of back to back. And she's like, that's exhausting. And then Emily came like 3 years later, and she's like, it was so much easier. But she was like, it was a grind while the boys were young, but then now they're like best friends and they go off and do their thing, and like, it was easy to care for Emily. So there's no right or wrong way. Like, I kind of, and I know if you're a mother or you talk to moms, they'll be like, no, don't do 2 under 2, like, it's exhausting, don't do it. But I'd almost just rather bang it out, just like commit to being fucking exhausted for those 3 years. Because it's not until they get, like, they're not self-sufficient at 2 years old, but like walking and just like more able, 3, you know what I mean? Like, that's just kind of the age where you're all hands-on. But I don't know. But I'm like, babe, if we have 3 and we start at 30, like, then we're gonna have like 3 under fucking 4 or whatever. Like, if I want to be done by 35. And he goes, well, we could just start, like late 28. That way, you have the first one at 29. I said, get pregnant at 28 years old? That's now. I turned 28 in May, and he said the end of 28, but like, that is this time next year. You're telling me I'm going to be trying to get pregnant a year from today? Oh, no. And I'm saying this as if he's demanding it. Like, obviously he's right. Like, and totally, what's the difference between 29 and 30? Like, it's not that I'm opposing this and just going along with what he's saying. Like, I'm there, but like, in actuality, I still feel 21. So to like be thinking about that and talking about that, I'm like, oh my fucking God, you're right. Because like, then if we did want 3, we have one at 29, we can then do one at 31 or 32, and like, so on and so forth. But like, I'm sorry, that seems like so far in the future. Like, getting pregnant it feels like, again, I just said, like, yeah, I'll do that in like 10 years. No, bitch, it's coming up quicker. Like, life comes so fast. Oh my gosh. So that was a little bit terrifying. So if you guys see me trying to get pregnant this time next year, because that's going to be here before you know it. Oh my God. Being a mom doesn't scare me. I mean, of course, I understand, like, I think better than anybody. I think some people don't realize how much work it is. I get it. Doesn't bother me. The like pregnancy birth situation, really just the birth. Being pregnant, I don't know. I don't think about it. And everybody has such a different experience, but like giving birth, that's scary. If you like think about it, if you've ever watched YouTube videos, don't do it. Do not do it. I told Carter on the phone, I said, can I get an epidural today? Like right now to prep? That's so scary. But anyways, I'm not going to dive into that because it'll freak me out. But that's a conversation that we've been having. Carter came home, and then this week, you guys, what have I been up to? Doing my taxes, which I put up a story, and it was like 2/3 of people said that they also do their taxes in advance. And then it was like 1/3 of people put it off. Like, oh my God, my friend Natalie, she's the bitch that calls me on April 15th. She's like, I'm doing my taxes. Help. I'm like, why would you wait? I'm like the person immediately. I got a tax document last week from TikTok because that's like where the majority of my money in this past year came from, through PayPal. And so I got my 1099 and I submitted that all into Free Tax USA. If you guys don't use Free Tax USA, I highly recommend it, especially if you are a W-2 employee. Like, that shit is easy breezy, beautiful cover girl, and it's free. TurboTax, no. Quit using TurboTax. They fuck you every time, in my opinion. And then it always ends up costing money. Maybe it's just because I'm an independent, but anyways, doing my taxes, I don't have to pay in that much, but getting that done. So I highly recommend, if you get those documents, just get it over with. And somebody, number one, reached out. She was like a tax consultant, and she said that, especially for me as a business, she said hold off, or she recommends holding off if you're a business owner, because the IRS like has a certain amount of audits. So like the people that do it right away, they get to those right away. Whereas everybody kind of files at the end, or the people that do, that kind of gets lost in the bunch. So the odds of you getting audited if you fill it in later are lower. So I'm probably just going to hold off. However, somebody messaged, and I wanted to bring this up because it was so funny. It was cracking me up. I asked you guys in that story, like, do you do them right away or at the end? And somebody messaged up and she said, I do mine whenever my dad has the time. Because I feel like a lot of girls, like, that's so girlhood, having your dad do your taxes, which I never did. I'm sure he would have, but yeah, no, homeboy was not. I think he actually has his own accountant that does that. And my dad's just like a W-2 employee, but maybe that's wrong. I was talking to Gordy about this because Gordy was always a business owner. He owned his own auto mart, so he had an accountant. That's right. That's who I was talking to about it. He has an accountant just because a business like that with so many expenses, and they actually had employees. Like, that shit's crazy. But do your taxes. Book update, y'all, I haven't been reading. The Nightingale took me out and put me in a slump. I'm not kidding. I'm 13% of the way through Gone Girl. But like, I've also been watching like YouTube videos, which is so bad. I need to stop doing that. But like on the treadmill, I watched the Rachel Kirkconnell Call Her Daddy episode. My latest hyperfixation, you guys, which I've been meaning to talk to you about, has been Mr. Beast. Okay, if you would have told me even a year ago, I did not know who Mr. Beast was. Maybe I had heard of him being in the creator space, but Mr. Beast is like the biggest YouTuber of all time. And if you have not watched the Mr. Beast games, I believe they're on Amazon Prime. The episodes come out on Thursday. You guys, it's so good. And I'm so pissed because Carter all of a sudden pulled it up, but then we were already a few episodes in, and I'm like, babe, when did you watch this without me? And it was over Christmas when he flew home. He watched it on the plane. And so he watched like the first couple of episodes. So I came in late. So honestly, I should catch up. But you guys, it's like the craziest thing. It's like psychologically, like they're doing these competitions and games and just like things, and people get eliminated. And there's a lot of like, they'll put the best friend of this person on the line, but then if they don't choose them, they'll get like $100,000. So you're sitting there thinking about like, what would I do in that circumstance? And it's so good. But all of that aside, Carter introduced me to the Mr. Beast because Carter's a big YouTube person. And so when we at the end of the night pull up the TV, we always watch YouTube, and we'll just watch YouTube videos instead of shows pretty much our whole entire relationship. And Mr. Beast just does so many good competition styled videos. Like, that's what his YouTube is. So I got exposed to him in the last year or two. But if you watch him, like, he'll host these things. He's so interesting. He reminds me of my brother. He's so down to earth, but you guys, he's worth, like, if I had to guess, almost $1 billion just from like being a YouTuber and putting, you guys have probably seen him. He's always the one like giving away a Tesla or like giving away $1 million. Like, he does crazy stuff because he makes so much money just literally being a YouTuber. Now he started Feastables, which I was just watching a YouTube podcast interview of him, and this is so incredible, and I think this is why I'm so fascinated by him. He was talking about how he got into Feastables as a chocolate bar. Like, that is what the product is. So he created this, similar to how Jake Paul made Prime, like, as a big creator. And I think Mr. Beast, I mean, we watch him and we're 27 years old, but I think kids watch him as well because it's very kid friendly. It's like competitions. It's just like so interesting to watch. But I think with that demo, like, he came out with a chocolate bar, but he realized that cacao is so unethically sourced. Like, if you eat a chocolate bar, whatever that is, Snickers, Hershey's, odds are that they're using child labor because they get the cacao. 70% of chocolate companies get the cacao from Africa, and I think it's South Africa in specific, and they only pay so much. So these farms that farm the cacao pay children. They use child labor, which is so fucked up, to work on their farms because that's all they're paid. And so like every single like chocolate item that you eat is unethically sourced, and he figured this out or found this out when he came into the business, and he did not want to do that. So he found a way to ethically source cacao. So they do it in West Africa, and it just like ends up like he has to pay more money to do it because you have to pay the farm owners more money, because the reason that they use child labor is because they're in poverty. Like, whenever child labor is most of the time in the picture, it's because it's a very poverty stricken place, and so they don't have the money to pay normal people living wages, so then they just pay children, but then it takes children out of school, and so like it's just so fucked up. So Mr. Beast is like a huge advocate for ethically sourcing just like anything, but he's really making it a point to pay these farms enough to then pay living wages and not do child labor. But also he's finding that in these villages in Africa, these villages don't even have schools because they don't even have money. So now he's also in the business, which he's done a ton of YouTube videos. He's done so many things to help people, like, you know, people that are blind and deaf, like, you know, putting money into resources for them and building schools. Like, he's done that through his philanthropy before, not associated with the chocolate company Feastables, but now he's in that business with the Feastables. So he's building schools so he can, number one, ethically source the cacao, but he was finding out that these kids had nowhere to go. So like, that's why they were also working, because they just didn't have school. So what the fuck are they doing? So they go and work and like make no money, and they're like literally children working. So now he's in the business of also then building schools and just making it so like hopefully one day Hershey's and all of these places, which I'm not calling anybody, he didn't call these places out. He was just saying most of chocolate comes from unethically sourced. So he's trying to make a way for it to not be that way, which is just incredible. Like, for being like the biggest creator probably on the internet, like, even if it's so funny because a lot of girlies don't watch him, it's so funny how niches work, but like, he is like the biggest creator of all time. He has the most subscribers on YouTube, and YouTube is just like the biggest platform, because once you watch somebody in long form, even though he does these like competitions, it's just like a different thing. But he's so down to earth, and like he just got engaged, which I didn't even know he had a partner, because he doesn't do like lifestyle, obviously, like that's not his niche. But I just think that he's so great and so cool, and I'm just like so fascinated by him right now. So if you haven't watched Beast Games, I think it's on Amazon Prime is where we watch it. It comes out on Thursdays, which is yesterday. So if you haven't watched it, I would highly recommend it, and then we can talk about it next week. Also, speaking of shows, Love is Blind, a new episode is coming out on Valentine's Day. Yes, on Valentine's Day. And it's a Minneapolis episode. And I so badly wish I would have recognized somebody in there, but I didn't know any of them. And that might seem silly, but like, unless you live in a big city, like you don't realize actually how small it is. Like even Dallas is so small. Like there'll be so many times where somebody will come up that I already know from Equinox or from this or from that. And like for being a huge city, like it's really not that big. And obviously I'm from North Dakota, but I have a ton of friends that moved to Minneapolis after, and I'm like, damn, none of you made it on the show. If I were single, I would have done it immediately. Like I would have signed up. I think that'd be so great. I would have been the villain. I would have loved that. Like those little, I've told you guys this before. I so badly just want to be in a show where I'm with a group of people, but then you get the solo shots of me in the diary room just talking mad shit. I would love that. I would love that so much. Okay, what else happened? Really nothing this week other than yesterday Carter texted me and was like, do you want to go to the SMU basketball game? One of the partners from the firm had tickets but couldn't go, and he had 4. So we went with another couple, this associate that Carter works with and his girlfriend, which actually, you guys, his girlfriend works for American Airlines. And so while we were at the game, that plane crash happened in DC. The helicopter collided with the plane. And so she, like, we knew before any of these articles were coming out because she was getting bombarded with just like emails and things, which I don't know. Again, I think she's like an analyst or something, but like, I'm sure just like the web of American Airlines, this shit gets blasted everywhere and just like, what the fuck is going on? Like her coworkers were texting her, but oh my gosh, that, it's so scary and so sad. And it just came out. I just like took a little snack break, and I don't think there are going to be any survivors. There were 60 people on the plane, and then 3 in the Black Hawk in the helicopter. But like, what the fuck was the helicopter? Again, I don't know logistics, but like watching that, oh my God. And just like, I saw a video this morning when I woke up of a man who was like 2 minutes behind that airplane, and then they got diverted to the other Washington, DC. Oh my gosh, wait, you guys, I'm staring out at this parking garage, and there's a guy and a girl that are meeting up. It's always empty, but like there's always hooligans up here. Okay, they didn't even hug. Like, what are you guys doing? Are you guys siblings? I thought they were meeting to canoodle. Where did he come from? Did he park way over there and she parked over here? Oh, they just smooched. I missed it. Oh, that's kind of awkward though. Why did they like say hello but not smooch until now? Are you guys fighting? Oh my gosh, I love it. You guys, there will be people that come up here and literally make TikToks. Like they'll be skating or like on rollerblades or just like making dances or like taking photos, or people will meet up here. Somebody will come up here and they'll smoke a cigarette, and like there's never, it's like a whole parking thing. It's the top of a ramp, but it's never been full. Never. It's always empty. So like anytime action is going, like I have a perfect view of it. So me and Carter are always like, what the fuck is going on? Like one time there was a man and he was in a pickup. What was he doing? Like all of his doors were open and he was like walking around. Or there's like, yeah, people that are definitely not doing well. Like I remember this one guy was like pacing around here, like hands through his hair. Like he just got out of his car and the car door was open and he's like stressing around or like pacing around, and nobody was around, but we're just like watching him, or just like watching people film themselves is so funny. Like I've thought about back in the day when I had to get fucking Instagram photos all the time, but I'm like, I know everybody else on this side of my building and there's another building over here that can watch. No, I'd be humiliated because I sit and judge the people down there. But anyways, okay, so we went to the basketball game last night. The American Airlines accident, terrible, absolutely terrible, and so sad and just scary. Like I feel like planes, like even though, well, like I always think of planes like with my flight anxiety, something going wrong with the plane, but it's like now there have been so many collisions, or like almost in Austin, there was like a plane almost hit a Cessna, and like the Cessna should not, is that how you pronounce it? Cessna is like a small like private airplane. Like what the fuck is going on? Like, everybody get your shit together. And also, what is going on this year? Like, all of the tragedy that has already happened, which tragedy happens all the time, but like, oh, that's so spooky. That is so spooky. Oh, what I was saying was, I saw a video of a guy, he was like 2 minutes, like right behind that plane, which they couldn't see it obviously, but they went to land, but then they diverted, so they came back up, and the guy was like, I didn't think much of it at the time, like it was really windy, so like this guy must travel a lot. And the pilot came on and like said there was an accident or a crash, and they had to go to Dulles, Dulles, the other airport in DC, and he like looked so just like distraught, which obviously like that could have easily been him. It could have been any of us, you know what I mean? Like anytime you're on a flight, but it's just like, holy fuck, not to like fearmonger, but yeah, that's crazy. And okay, so that was this week. And then this weekend, you guys, oh my gosh, I've been dying to tell you, we're going to Wells Fargo and we're starting our joint account. So basically, I'm going to add myself to Carter's account. I set up our appointment for 10:30, and that'll just be our joint. Because I was like, do you have to start a joint account? Because, so we started talking more and more about the elopement and all of this stuff. And I'm like, we already act as one and take care of finances as one. So I'm like, why don't we just do a joint account now? We're engaged. It's as serious as ever. Like, I treat an engagement so serious, and we're going to be together forever. And we've already decided long before that we'll have joint accounts. And so we're going to go just take care of that. Number one, because I don't know if you guys like when I discuss work stuff or behind the scenes, but I just ended my contract with the small agency I was at. It was a 6-month contract, and I just recently transitioned over to a new management. And so with that, I'm like, oh, I can set up the funds. You know, I can set it up whatever. I have like 2 or 3 payments coming out. So I can't close my account just yet, because when I'm getting paid from brands, like those are already in motion. So I'm like, okay, let me just make sure I get these payments, and then I can, with the new agency, set up his account, or that will be our account. That way I get paid and it'll now go to our joint account. And then once I get these payments, I can switch over or close mine, but I'll have to obviously move over the funds, and then that is it. And I can do that appointment on my own time and make sure I close it out. But I'm like, babe, let's just go do that, because yeah, we've been talking about the elopement and planning things and doing things, but like, it's not complicated, but we talk about funds, and it's like, I know exactly what Carter has. I know exactly where his money is going. He knows exactly what I have going on. He knows exactly what's in mine. So then we talk about it. I'm like, well, we just need to start saving. But it's like, are you going to save? Like, are we taking out of that paycheck? And I'm like, why don't we just put it all together and do it now? Because we're going to do that after we're married anyways. The only reason we haven't done it up until this point is because I thought we would have to be married, but you can literally open a joint account with anybody. You could open your joint account with a roommate. So we're going to do that on Saturday, which I'm just really excited about, taking care of that and being on one. And that way also I can take care of all the bills, because Carter's done that. All of the bills are on his, so I never see that or deal with it. And I, as the manager of our house, and I always will be, I just want to like have all of the things, the electricity, like take care of everything. You know what I mean? Like, again, we operate this way already. It's just like annoying that we're on separate accounts. So that'll be great. And then we're also going to go to a Walgreens or a CVS. I noticed, because you need to bring 2 forms of identification, which I already had this in my calendar, July 1st, but Carter's passport expires. So we're going to go right after that. It's going to be an errands weekend and get a passport photo done. And then you can do that all online. You can renew. So we're going to renew his passport. That way, once we do elope, he has an updated passport. And then lastly, you guys, oh my gosh, my friend Garrett, my best friend Garrett, who I talk about all the time, is performing. So he's opening a tour for Jake Miller, who's like a smaller artist, and they play in Dallas on Sunday. It's not ideal that it's Sunday, but obviously I'm going to support my best friend, and I hope that his parents are there, because obviously I just love them so much. But he performs at the South Side Ballroom. No. The House of Blues. The House of Blues in Victory Park. So Sunday night, we're going to go watch Garrett perform, and that'll be so much fun. I can't wait. And then that's our weekend. I think Dallas is supposed to be 70 degrees this weekend, so tons of walks. I have not walked outside in ages because it's been on the chillier side. And yeah, you guys, okay, I think that's all that I have. Oh my gosh, I have one little note here. Yesterday at the game, you know, on the Jumbotron when they show people, there were these girls that got shown, and honestly their skin was amazing, but the way that the light was, it was like gleaming, but their skin looked amazing. This is the thing, men don't know anything about women or makeup or skincare or skin, to be honest, but these girls, like their foreheads were really shiny, but like those huge big like lights in a stadium are just like not good. And he made a comment to me, it was like, they're kind of looking greasy, and I said, babe, you've got one of the greasiest bitches on the planet, so be careful what you're saying, because what applies to others also applies to me. I said, I'm gonna stop you right there, which I get what he was saying, because like, yeah, they did look like they were like glistening on the screen, but I said, if that was me, I would be literally shining to the moon. So I said, don't say that, let's not say that. We were cracking up, but I think that's it, you guys. Oh, for Monday's podcast, holy fuck, there was one that got me a little bit heated. Not really. I guess I didn't show it as much through video. I'm still editing it. I decided that I'm going to film the Monday episodes. I can do those at any time now since they aren't current. So I'm going to do it Wednesday because those take a little bit longer to edit. But let me tell you what the titles are. Okay. Me, 29 female, am thinking of ending my relationship with my boyfriend, 34 male, because of the lack of ambition from my partner, which I just thought that'd be super relatable. It's not juicy or anything, but it's good. This is the juicy one. It's the second one. Okay. My husband, male 39, has thrown me, female 27, under the bus to his family with his silence and complete lack of a spine. How do I salvage this? You guys, the mother-in-law called her a lying whore and called their child a bastard. Their baby girl. And the husband didn't say a word. You guys, oh my God, I said divorce immediately, but you'll love that. That's a juicy one. And then the last one, which I thought would be the most relatable. My boyfriend, 30 male, has a close female friend, 34 female, who blatantly dislikes me, 29 female, and makes no secret of it. I've reached a stage where it's her or me. How can I confront my boyfriend? Oh, it was so real and relatable, and I feel like this is such a good one because you guys know that close friends or like close friends of the opposite sex, there need to be boundaries. You guys know how I feel about that, so I love talking about that. But yes, you guys, okay, that's all I have. Happy Friday. I hope you had a great week. Thank you for listening, as always. And I hope you guys have the best weekend, and we will see you Monday or Friday. Whenever you want to listen, please be here, don't be here, whatever you got to do for your mental health. I'm so glad that you're here, but that's all, you guys. Okay, we'll see you when I see you. Bye, guys.